the VAT exemption on essential food items over the next few months, as we've been telling you. We are in at this time with three senior staff members from the Inland Revenue Department. As a matter of fact, the Deputy Controller, Mr. Irvin McGlaw, is here along with the Assistant Comptroller, Mr. Geoffrey Joseph, and the Tax Education Officer, Mr. Darnell Pinard. Let's go across and welcome the gentlemen in the studios. Distinguished gentlemen, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Labadie, and good morning to the listeners of DBS Radio.
Yes, and how are you doing, Mr. Geoffrey Joseph?
I am doing very well, thank you. I'm right here in your presence, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning to address the nation on serious issues
Indeed.
Concerning the VAT exemption.
Indeed. Mr. Pinard, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having us here today, Mr. Labadie. Good morning to the listeners of DBS Radio. Sun is out. I hope everyone's having a good day, and today that you learned something new.
Yes, I'm sure. And Mr. McGlaw, how are you doing, sir?
I am good for now, and welcome to your listening public. And we are here now to just disseminate information concerning the new measures or the VAT exemptions for the next 6 months.
All right, next 6 months, that's the key term here. Now, gentlemen, we pay VAT on goods and services, most goods and services. Many of us do not understand what is VAT. We pay the VAT. We do not understand what is the VAT and why we are even paying VAT. So help the man on the ground for me, please, and the woman on the ground to firstly understand what is VAT, why VAT, and how it is even calculated. Any one of you could take that go.
Right.
Oh, all right. All right, so first of all, VAT is the acronym for Value Added Tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a tax that is added on the value of goods and services throughout the different processes or the different stages of that of the execution of that product, from production all the way to the final consumer. Now, VAT is a tax that is actually paid by the consumer, the final consumer of that good or service, all right? And the VAT has been in existence in Dominica from 2006. And the VAT is broken up into, I would dare want to call it 4 different components. We have standard rated supplies, which is the most common one that everyone knows about, is VAT taxed at 15% on most goods and services. We also have VAT taxed at, or services charged at 10%. For instance, dive sector and so on. You know, these services are charged at 10%. The accommodation sector as well. We have 0%. So there are certain commodities that are taxed at 0%. Speaking about like rice, milk, sugar, and these things there, they are taxed at 0%. And then we have exempt supplies, and these exempt supplies are exempted from the whole VAT regime. So they do not form part of the VAT scope of VAT at all. That will be something like financial services, transportation, education services, and so on. These are totally exempted from the VAT, from the whole VAT regime. So this is a consumer tax, as I said, and this is really how it is applied in Dominica. There are the technical areas of the VAT thing, which I don't know if we would want to go into that right now, but generally it is a tax that is applied once you have met the threshold, the different providers of the services and goods. There's a threshold of $250,000 of annual sales, for which you would then qualify to be registered for VAT, and then you would have to apply the VAT based on the type of service that you provide in the rate in the rate that you would qualify for. You would have to apply that VAT to your goods and or your services. So, for instance, if you have a hotel and your hotel is also has a bar or restaurant component, the accommodation section of your hotel, you would charge for that service 10%. But the bar, the restaurant, that is a standard rated at 15%. So you have 2 different type of supplies there. So this is really essentially what it is. And everyone along that route. So let's use the hotel also as an example. Someone would probably be buying let's say chicken wings for the bar or for the restaurant area of the hotel, that person would go to the suppliers, whether it be a wholesaler or retailer, whatever it is, and buy the chicken in order for them to prepare. They would be paying VAT to that supplier. So let's say they go to one of the major wholesalers and they will have to buy 2 cartons of chicken for them to prepare. When they buy that chicken, they will be paying VAT to that supplier. But because they are VAT registered, they will be able to claim that tax that they paid to the supplier of that chicken back when they file in their return at the end of the month. So in essence, we are netting off the VAT for the VAT registrants. The amount of VAT that is actually paid into Inland Revenue is the net value between what you would have charged your customers versus what you would have spent in order to provide that service to your customers.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned 0% tax or zero rated. So there's a fundamental difference between the exempt
and zero rated. Yes. Rated. So essentially, the items that will be classified under zero. All right. So let me even go from the other angle of things. When you are exempted from or services exempted, there is, and as I just mentioned, there's a component of inputs that you would be allowed. So if you're providing an exempt supply, let's say you're a bus driver, you're providing transportation, because you're totally out of the VAT scope. When you buy your tires at a tire supplier, even if the tire supplier is VAT registered and they charge you VAT, there's nowhere for you to claim it because you're not in the VAT scope, right? But if you're providing a different service, let's go back to the hotel and the restaurant. You're providing chicken to fry, you know.
Yeah.
When you buy that chicken, because you are providing now a taxable supply at 15%, you will be allowed to claim the expense of that chicken. So when you went to buy the raw chicken and they charge you VAT, you are now able to claim that expense that you had back against what you're gonna be remitting back to the Comptroller of Inland Revenue. So if we go in now for, let's say, sugar and rice, which are zero rated, let's look at the context of let's say a supermarket. They will be selling both standard rated supplies at 15% and also some zero rated supplies. They would be selling rice, milk, sugar, flour, and those things. Because these items are deemed zero rated, the expenses associated in bringing them to the selling point will be allowable because they are taxable, but they are just taxed at 0%. So, for instance, if you're selling your rice, milk, and sugar, we're not going to tell you, well, we have to apportion some of your overheads. So let's say like your electricity, because if you're selling an exempt product, again, you cannot claim any inputs against it. But if you're selling a zero-rated product, you're able to claim the inputs against it. Let's look at a gas station, for instance. Fuel is zero-rated. So the light bill for providing that fuel, the gas stations are allowed to claim that. If, for instance, fuel was exempted, then they won't be able to claim any of the expenses associated with it. So it's basically putting in a separation between what is taxable and what is exempted. Taxable at 0%, at 10%, at 15%, you're able to claim the expenses. When I say the expenses, the VAT expenses that you would have spent in order to bring that product or that service to the public or to your customers. Whereas if you're providing an exempt supply, you cannot claim any of the expenses associated with that.
Okay, I guess a lot of accounting has to, go into effect.
Keep your records.
Definitely. Now, as we get into it, the not Irvin McGlaw, but Honorable Irvin McIntyre, in his budget presentation in July, actually listed and announced that with effect from this month, October, as we're about to discuss and as we're discussing here, a number of items, essential items, would be VAT exempt. Now, it doesn't take a scientist or finance guys like you all to understand that this will only result in a reduction in the cost of living, provide a sense of ease, for the average citizen or for all of us as citizens over the next few months. But before we get into these items and further details, I will ask any one of you to, if you may, just expound a bit on what sort of effect or impact that exempt period is likely to have or projected to have on the local economy, on the average man or woman in the country? You know, I know you're not bankers, but you're finance guys. So probably you could just put that in simple perspective for us.
Okay, so what it is, as Geoffrey rightly explained, the whole process of the VAT on goods and services, what we will see currently now, from the 1st of October, goods that we charge at 15%, we're talking about basic food items, we charge at 15%. And it's a consumer tax, so it's always the consumer who will feel the 15%. So what the government has done now for the next 6 months is to remove the VAT at the consumption end from the consumer. So let's say we're looking at codfish, and you would buy, we're just using raw figures here, Miguel. So your codfish, just the standard price would be $10, and the VAT on that would be $1.50. So all we are saying now to the merchants, once you are registered and you were charging VAT, remove that $1.50 from the codfish. So the consumer would not be paying $11.50, they will be only paying $10. And that's the basic concept across the board for the list of items. And there's a short list of items, food items, which are specified to be say remove the VAT on those items if they were charged at 15%.
Okay, so in essence, things ought to be cheaper.
Things ought to be cheaper. Now, persons will talk about the old stock and what effect it's going to have on the retailer, the person who's selling. It's not going to have any effect on them. Their profit margin is going to be the same because at the end of the day, they would have marked up all the goods before the VAT. So the VAT is always to the final consumer. So the merchant is not going to feel anything. What will happen, Miguel, we have what we call, and it's not just on the domestic market, it's also on importation. So even if you're not a regular guy going to the supermarket, but if you order your goods from overseas, you will feel that effect, immediate effect. There's no VAT at customs on those products. Also, apart from no VAT on those products at customs, there's also element of import duty, which is waived. So you have in the merchant and the basic consumer will feel that effect on importation. On the domestic side, initially, the VAT is just exempted on the old goods, the old stock. Now, the merchants will not have old stocks for 6 months. They will be importing. So when they import now...
So you're sure about that then?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. When they import, Miguel, say the same codfish they were importing, say, before October. When they come to customs, basically, it will be a finance benefit for them where they will not pay the import duty and they will not pay the VAT on those products. So eventually, the consumers now will still see a further reduction after the old stock has gone off the shelf. And they should see that further reduction on those items that are VAT exempt for that 6 period.
Okay,
6 month period.
let's look at importation of basic items. Say a merchant imports X amount of corned beef here on the island. I know we don't have port officers or customs guys, but you all I know are very knowledgeable. Sort of break down or just give us a list as to all the taxes paid, import duties, VAT. Just give us a breakdown of that. Let us understand everything, and at what point do we calculate the VAT, say when we import items. Yeah, let's look at that.
Okay,
First of
so
all.
at the custom stage, when we talk about value tax, the VAT is charged at every point of value. So, Miguel, you bring in your corned beef. There's a value to the corned beef, and the value will be the value you pay for it plus your shipping, which is your freight. And here, this is your charge. And customs now will put, there's an import duty element to it. Well, I cannot go into specifics of how much is import duty in the corned beef,
Okay.
but there's a percentage of import duty.
Right.
There's a percentage of customs service charge. There's a percentage of environmental surcharge. And then what you'll do now, you'll add all those values and then find 15% of it.
Okay.
And that will be your total duty at customs.
All right. Fantastic. Okay. So a business person pays his total price, including VAT, to clear his items from the port, puts his markup on the shelf. This business person, does he or she then add a further 15% to his selling price after paying the VAT on the port, just for our listeners to understand clearly how everything
All
works
right.
out.
Just to make them understand clearly how it works and how it should work, the person, the businessman who is registered, and he would have paid the VAT at customs.
Right.
When he is doing his markup, the VAT he pay at customs doesn't form part of his markup.
All right.
It stays out because this is a credit to him. So
Right.
he should not include it to markup.
Right.
So after he has done all his calculations and put his markup outside of the VAT at customs, then he will charge the consumer VAT on that final product.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so you gave that 6 months, but even before we get to that, I want to get right into the list of items. So whichever one of you has the lalin to just list the essential food items which are now VAT exempt from October this month, with effect from the 1st up to March 31 next year. Let's take a go.
Okay, so the list of items are as follows. We have codfish, we have herrings, salted, onions, garlic, split peas, black eyed peas, red kidney beans, lentils, pigeon peas, oats, cream of wheat. Also have cornmeal, luncheon meat, canned corned beef, canned herring, canned sardine, canned tunas, canned mackerel, cereal, biscuits unsweetened, orange juice, tomato ketchup, toothpaste, laundry detergents, toilet paper, sanitary towels and tampons, napkins and napkin liners for babies and also for adults, sanitary towels and tampons, sanitary napkins and napkin liners for babies, napkins and napkin liners for adults. Each has its own different tariff heading, so they may appear on the list twice as well.
Okay, I see. So quite a number of items which are considered essential
Essential to
food
live in.
items. Okay. What are you hearing on the ground so far? In terms of that list, because the list is sort of, it has been published. It's public. It's out there. A person saying, "What about this and that?" I know that's probably not your place or position, but what are you hearing on the ground in terms of the items that have made it to the list? Actually, persons quite satisfied, or still believe that other items could have been added. What are you hearing?
Well, Miguel, you can't satisfy everybody.
Right.
Even if we had put 1,000 items, it still wouldn't be enough. Yeah, and you have to understand the government position that yes, we cannot do everything, so we have to do a certain number because we still have revenue to collect and bills to pay. So
Right.
we just felt that these items, these basic items, will give a nice cushion for the next 6 months to the consumer.
Yes, at least it's something. Yeah, and as you said, a cushion to us as consumers over the next few months. Then we have relief of import duty on quite a number of items. The same items, different items. Yeah.
Same items, not all of the items, but similar items you may find that are relief from VAT. Some are exempt from import duty.
Okay.
So the list would be as follows, which will be relief of import duty at that point in customs: pigeon peas, luncheon meat, canned corned beef, cereal, biscuits unsweetened, orange juice, tomato ketchup, toothpaste, laundry detergents, almond milk, and soy milk.
Okay, almond milk and soy milk especially. Yeah, that'll go down well for quite a number of consumers, I must say. Okay, so here we have it. This is actually in effect, and Mr. McGlaw, you said minutes ago that stock ought not to be on the shelf, or you do not expect stock older than 6 months. I think it's something to that effect. What if goods would have probably been far from expiry, would have been imported a few months prior, say July, August, The appropriate duties would have been paid at the port. What happens there? These goods are still on the shelves. We're in October. These goods are still on the shelves, probably far from expiry. What happens?
Nothing will happen. The same effect will take place. 1st of October, we expect the merchants who are registered to remove the VAT on those products.
Okay, so it's plain and simple.
It's plain and simple.
Remove the
Just
VAT on
remove
these
the VAT
products.
on those products. If we can just argue, Miguel, and say, just for argument's sake, that you have a merchant who had goods prior to 1st October, and let's say he had a large stock, and basically he never import anything within that 6 months, the same will apply. So for that 6 months, it's just his old stock will be there, the same removal of it for the next 6 months. Those who would have import after 1st of October, you will have, there may be a clash of good and old stock come to meet each other. And what you may find that there might be a question of, okay, in terms of the price itself, that the old stock would have import duty on it versus the new stock would not have import duty on it. So you may have the merchants trying to juggle as to what the price is, if they're going to put a different price for old stock versus a new stock. So that's the little technicality that the merchants have to figure out internally.
Yes.
But the expectation is that after, I cannot say how long, but the expectation is that you may see, you should see a further reduction after a certain period of time on those products.
Yeah, but then the keyword expectations, but is it is it mandatory? Is it by law that persons ought to remove? I mean, what happens? How are you going to ensure that the merchants comply?
Well, the law is there, it's mandatory, and the only way you can show and see that, okay, well, VAT was not charged on your product is by way of your receipt. So if there is no element of VAT on your receipt, then basically the merchant did not charge you VAT. If there is an element of VAT on those receipts for those products, which is mandatory to remove the VAT on, it means that he has charged you VAT illegally. And then there's a recourse for this.
I see. Are more items expected to be added to that list over the next few months?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Okay. Well, we invite our listeners to call in with your questions, comments, or concerns. Feel free to give us a call, 616-1327, 448-3284, 1-800-327, toll free from a landline. We're looking at the VAT exemption on essential items over the next 6 months, and we have senior officers from the Inland Revenue Department. So, Mr. Joseph, it's something that seems straightforward to me. It doesn't seem like a complicated process. Everything seems
it really is not, and I mean, as explained by Mr. Maglo and so on, the process is really direct. Effective October 1st, which was last week, Wednesday, all VAT registered people selling these products should remove the VAT component to the selling price of that product. That is basically what it is. Even people who would have imported from the 1st of October these products, when they come to clear these products at customs, they will not be charged VAT. Right. It is really a cash flow issue in that regard, because if you are VAT registered, as we said, you are able to claim that back when you file. But it would have meant that you would have had to spend that money up front to customs before getting it back. But now that the VAT would have been removed on these items at the point of importation, it's really like a cash flow ease, so that you don't have to find that VAT amount to pay customs before getting it back when you file your return.
We have a caller. Hello, good morning, welcome.
Hi, good morning, Miguel. Good morning, the other gentleman.
Good
morning.
Good
morning.
After that, I went to, I'm not going to call in that supermarket name. Okay, I went there yesterday because I love almond milk, and to me, I heard PM in the house said that everybody can drink almond milk now, and it will be reduced. And let me tell you, 22 something, that is the same price it was before. And it's still the 22 something, and the VAT is still added.
Okay. And explain the reason, gentlemen. For
Right.
that.
So
Thank you, caller.
basically, just to clarify to the caller, the almond milk is the relief on the almond milk is on duties. It's not on the VAT. So what you will find is that the price of the almond milk is expected to be reduced when that next batch of almond milk is imported. Therefore, it would reduce the cost that the importer would have to pay, or their cost price. So it is expected that this saving will be passed on through to the consumer. But that will only take effect on the next, or the imports that would be coming in after the 1st of October. So if you really, these products, that's why Mr. Peanut explained the two different lists. There are some items on the import relief list that is not on the VAT list, such as almond milk. So from the 1st of October, you will not see that change in the price of almond milk. And even going forward, VAT will still be applied on almond milk at the point of sale. The only adjustment that will be taking place there for almond milk is the duty relief.
Yeah.
So the duties will be when it's imported after. So you have to kind of give the merchants a little chance.
A few weeks again.
Yeah, to import another round of almond milk and soy milk as well. And you should see some level of reduction because of the fact that the merchants or the importers will not be paying import duty on that imported product.
Yeah. You got that, caller?
Okay, thank you for your explanation.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow, very clear indeed. Almond milk, yeah, and very important that you highlighted that because I guess and that's why programs like these are important, to really keep the education going. Because persons may just say, okay, VAT relief, and it's like everything, you understand?
Yeah.
But then there's that fundamental difference in that list here. So again, the reason, as you just highlighted, Mr. Joseph, the relief is on import duty on almond milk and also soy milk with effect from the 1st of October. So if that merchant imports almond milk next week, then we expect a reduction, right?
On that new stock.
Just to add, Miguel, to the conversation, and we speaking strictly of registered persons.
Okay.
We also have to include the non-registered persons. They will also feel the effect, and the public should feel the effect from them, because if you are not registered, you cannot charge VAT, and you should not charge VAT. Now, they're going to buy the same product from the wholesaler or the retailer, and that product they're going to buy will not have VAT on it. Now, before the 1st of October, it will have had VAT on it, and since they were not able to claim that VAT, it will be a cost for them. So they'll have to now pass it on to the consumer. Now that cost, VAT cost, is not there, then persons buying to non-registered retailers should also see the same effect, that price should drop.
Okay, and for just to draw an example or reference there, I think you made a similar reference earlier. So let's go to the corned beef again. Yes. On the 25th of September, a can of corned beef at a supermarket, say, was $11.50.
Right.
Right now, on the 7th of October, that price ought to be, let's see how. That price ought to be $10. All right, because we're removing that 15% from that $10.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Now, I mean, are you doing any policing around? Do you have time for that? Any policing, Mr. Joseph, to ensure that people...
Yes. In terms of compliance,
yes.
Well, the thing is, this is part of the initial thrust of, if you want to call it quote-unquote policing, is actually educating. So we would like the merchants and the public to be aware of the obligations under this new amendment. So essentially what we are doing is allowing the public to be the eyes and ears on the ground. You know, as your caller just alluded to, she went to the supermarket and she was concerned over the fact that the price was not adjusted. You know, do we have to clarify exactly why? But, you know, this is the sort of feedback that we're looking for. Obviously, we can't be everywhere to you know, if you want to call it quote-unquote everything that's happening.
Can we go to the line for a minute,
Sure.
gentlemen?
Sure.
Yes. Good morning, you're live.
Yes, good morning, and how are you all?
Good morning,
Good
fine
morning.
thanks.
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Morning, son.
Morning, how
Let
are you
me
doing?
tell you,
Yeah, man.
I'm doing good.
Yes, sir.
Now, we're talking about policing, but not only that. What about the importer who also has to put his markup again on the commodity? Now, you said that, one of you said that the importer, the supermarket has to reduce now some of the items that are on the list. How we are so sure that this is going to happen? Because he has already put his price, which is also part of the markup, and how much you think he's going to remove in order that we as the consumer will benefit from buying at that particular supermarket. So the question that Imam Miguel Labadi just raised there, who's policing? Is there from time to time that you're going to make a wrong to see, well, yes, the price has been what it's supposed to be and whatever it is. It will be interesting to know. Thank you very much.
Just to clarify, the only, I would want to call it, policing that we can do is to ensure that the merchants or the people who sell the product do not apply VAT on the product. We cannot, we don't have any jurisdiction over the markup rate that the people would apply on the selling price. So if the government puts in a measure for the benefit of all, and the expectation is that the calculation of these products would remain constant, except for the application of VAT, let's say, for instance, right? And the merchants decide that, okay, they realizing the price is going to drop, that now they want to put a little more on their markup for them to get a little more. It's rather unfortunate that they would choose that moment where, the common man would be able to get that benefit to try to also gain as well. But that is really not our jurisdiction to actually, quote-unquote, police. The most that we can do is to ensure that when they put these products out for sale, that these products, VAT is not applied on these products. So let's go back to the corned beef example. Currently, you're saying that the price of the corned beef is $10 plus VAT, so it's $11.50.
Right.
We expect that when that measure took place last week, Wednesday, that the people would have changed their price down to $10 as was mandated. If someone decides, hey, you know what, I'm going to increase my profit margin and I'm now going to sell it at $11 instead. Okay, a little, just 50 cents, but I'm not putting VAT on it. So it's no longer $11 plus VAT. It's just $11. The rest is my profit. It's unfortunate. It is not the intention of the legislation. It is not what it was meant to be. But this is probably what some, merchants might use as an opportunity for them to gain a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then the market is a free market. We don't expect that every merchant would do the same thing. So obviously, if you do a little smart shopping and you realize, hey, that corned beef should be $10. John Brown is selling it for $11, but the other person is selling the same corned beef for $10, which is rightfully what it's supposed to be sold for. You go to the other place that sells it for $10. So the market now will dictate to John Brown, who has it for $11, that he should drop his price to $10 if he wants to remain competitive. You understand? But in terms of that element, that is not for the tax office to police. Really, what we do is just the tax element.
Because in truth and in fact, that is not. that shouldn't have any negative impact on the merchant.
Exactly.
It's the consumer's pocket and the consumer pay or not pay.
Right. The registered person will not feel that in any way. And as Mr. Maglo said earlier, the unregistered retailers as well are also expected to pass on that saving, because they will be buying it for cheaper.
Sales should just go up.
Everything,
Sales should go up.
People should be able to buy at least maybe 1.5 times what they were able to buy. That sort of effect should be there.
Just to add, Miguel, and when we talk about policing, the real policing of any consumer good is the consumer. And the consumer will decide, okay, well, here I am, and I'll decide, okay, who am I going to buy from? So if one merchant decides not to pass on the benefit, and the other merchant decides to pass on the benefit, where do I go and shop? It's all about the pocket. So the real policers of consumer goods is really the consumer themselves.
Yeah.
So we are really depending on them. So if, for Miguel, you went to a grocery shop and you saw VAT on your bill for an item that should not have VAT on it, then you report it to, first of all, you would go to the managers of that store and let them know of the situation. If it doesn't help your cause, then you could report it to Inland Revenue, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, and by standard, should a receipt or invoice clearly show VAT
Yes,
itself?
it
Yes?
should. By law, it should.
Yes.
Let's still clearly what you will charge VAT for on your receipt.
Okay, very good indeed. We're here with our senior officers from the Inland Revenue Department. VAT exemption over the next few months. So, March 31, 2026, back to normal programming, or are there any discussions for further extension or any adjustments, gentlemen? Anything you can spill out on that, or it's just it's a 6-month break?
It's a 6-month break, Miguel. And if there's any adjustment after March 31st, you'll be the first one to know.
All righty then. Feel free, guys. I suppose everything is clear. Feel free to call in 448-3284-6161-327. Someone just called from the overseas line. That's 305-432-9744. And again, Mr. Joseph, it may just be an opportunity, as you said. It would be pretty unfortunate, but for business persons to engage in bad practices and in the tricks of the trade, to technically, and I mean they have a right, and as you said, the power lies in the hand of the consumers. They have the final say.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's why the consumers ought to be educated. Are there opportunities? What are you providing? Any platforms, or can folks come to the office for any additional information?
Yes,
on that?
folks can come to the office to ask the necessary questions. You can also request, for example, if you have a group, if you have a workplace, anybody who wants a small seminar, small training, you can also write to the department to request that someone come to speak to you on their behalf on a certain topic. We have these services available.
Okay. Very importantly, we should go over the items which would have qualified for relief. Let's look at, first of all, the import duty, because before it even reaches the shelves of the supermarket, those items would have to be cleared from the port of entry. So let's look at these items again, But before that, let's go to this caller, Mr. Pinard. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the pricing. Let's suppose I go to the supermarket and I buy things that this VAT is cut off from, and those that VAT inclusive. How am I going to tell from my bill if what I was charged VAT for or not?
Okay, good question.
Okay. Usually on the invoices that you would receive, or the receipts that you would get from the different suppliers, you would see the VAT charge at the bottom of the receipt, right? So you may not be able to one-on-one identify exactly, okay, this portion or whatever. But here's what you could do. It is mandated as well that the advertised price on the shelf is the VAT inclusive price. So if you, let's use the corned beef. You went to pick up a tin of corned beef, and you saw on the shelf it's $10. When you get your receipt, if the VAT is as is supposed to be applied, there is no VAT that's supposed to be applied on the corned beef from now. Your receipt value for that particular product or the line item supposed to still show $10. If it was when corned beef was taxable, and on the shelf you would have seen it saying $11.50, when you get your receipt you would say $10 on the receipt, but then because the $1.50 would show up in the VAT component at the bottom of the receipt. So if let's say you go on and you get a long receipt, you have all different products, and you take that corned beef, on the shelf is showing $10, but when you watch your receipt, you see in your receipt saying $8.50, $8.40, whatever. It means that it's showing $8.40 up there because the rest of it, which is VAT, is shown will be calculated in the VAT component at the bottom.
That's a lot of work for the consumer, for the customer.
Right, but that is the only way, because most of the receipts would be tallied in that manner. Because what they would do is they would put on the receipt when they in their calculation, because remember the actual cost of the item or the selling price of the item is before VAT. So that's why it would show up on their system as that's our selling price. So our selling price of our product, let's say, is $10. If the product has VAT, we're going to show the $10 up here, and we're going to show you the VAT of the $1.50 at the bottom. So you'll see $10 plus VAT, your total is $11.50. That's generally how they would show it. You understand? So it's a matter of them recognizing what they would have purchased, referencing the value that is displayed on the shelf, and then validating that to the receipt that they have. So it will take some, reviewing, because some people might have to sit down and say, oh, but I bought that one, not supposed to have that. That is the price it was on the shelf. That's how much I have. It can take that, but that may be. Or what you could do is, if you have the list of the items, you can go through your receipt, calculate which ones that you know have VAT, do the calculation yourself, and see if the VAT was tallied correctly at the bottom. So you could do that as well. So if you know you bought corned beef, but you also bought chicken wings, let's say. Yeah. When you get the total, you're supposed to say, okay, let me take the value of the chicken wings multiplied by 15% and see if that was the VAT value that they have down here.
I mean, some merchants may have a clear, system in invoicing or on the receipt system that shows, per
right. But the general one that would be provided to the consumers, like the normal receipt that everybody would get, usually is usually broken up like that. The cost value of the product, the total VAT of everything, and within the system it would pull out which of the items would have attracted VAT and which would not have.
Let's go to the phone again. Hello, good morning, you're live. Okay, we lost that caller. I know someone was trying to reach us via the overseas line. Feel free to call us back. We're here with our senior officers from IRD. Mr. Pinard, the list of the items which would enjoy relief on import duties.
So to go over the list once again, relief of import duty is pigeon peas, luncheon meat, canned corned beef, cereal, biscuits unsweetened, orange juice, tomato ketchup, toothpaste, laundry detergents, almond milk, and soy milk.
All right, simple as that. Orange juice and not apple juice or any other
juice.
Oh,
because just to strengthen Geoffrey's point on the last caller, I think they can do a simple maths where I know that there are some merchants who would basically identify the items individually which would have tax on it, which would not have tax. But what you can do with those multiple items, they would have a subtotal of all the items. Now, once you can identify there are certain items on your invoice that should not have VAT, all the consumer can do now is just multiply the subtotal by 15%. If that result comes and you see, okay, at the bottom you see $10, then you realize, okay, then something is wrong. Because basically what they do now, they're charging you VAT on their total subtotal. And that should not be. So they can go now and do their liquor maths on that. Yeah. And that would be an easy way for them to find out whether VAT was charged on items that should not have been charged.
Okay, work to do, but if it's necessary,
if it's necessary, you have to do it.
Then so be it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We lost that caller. Feel free to call again. We have a few more minutes. And from the relief items on import duties, let's head to the exempt items on VAT right now, gentlemen. Let's go over that list again.
So going over the essential food items which are exempted from value-added tax, we have codfish, herrings salted, onions, garlic, split peas, black-eyed peas, red kidney beans, lentils, pigeon peas, oats, cream of wheat, cornmeal, luncheon meat, canned corned beef, canned herring, canned sardine, canned tuna, canned mackerel, cereal, biscuits unsweetened, orange juice, tomato ketchup, toothpaste, laundry detergents, toilet paper.
Mr. Peanut, I want to just interject a bit. I know the last time these other items, gave you a little trouble. So I want to ask Mr. Joseph to just list the other items, the rest of the items, following the toilet paper as you get into that.
Give me another try.
Okay, you deserve another try. So
so after toilet paper, we have sanitary towels and tampons, napkins, and napkin liners for babies and also for adults.
Okay.
Sanitary towels and tampons, napkins and napkin liners for babies and for adults as well.
Very well, but you aced it, man. Yeah, we all deserve another chance, that's it. Very good, man. But I want to ask, what are the merchants saying? I'm not sure how much dialogue you've been in with the business community on that. Does it seem like a easy process for them? Do they have any concerns with regards to that whole process?
It took them not much. It's just that initially in the latter stages of the game to identify the items that they should pull off the VAT from, in terms of getting the tariff number on the item correct, so they would know exactly which one they should pull out from the VAT list and which one should be kept. In certain areas, I can just speak to it, like you're looking at cereals in 1904, and in the local language of Palace, cereals, we say everything is cereal.
When you said 1904?
1904 just means that it's a tariff. It's a
Right.
custom tariff which deals with cereals, things like cornflakes and so on. And then you will have a lot of products that would maybe fall in 1904 and should not fall there, because some people might say, okay, look at Cocoa Puff. If Cocoa Puff is cereal, then customs will tell you it may or may not be. It depends on the classification at customs. So these are some of the challenges that the merchants had, basically to identify the items that we want to attract the exemption on the VAT. But for most parts, I think right now they are comfortable with the items and we are good to go.
Okay. But overall, we expect to see more money in the air, better disposal of the income, more spend, and again, it is likely or expected, well, in my opinion or view, that sales could only increase for the merchants, as Geoffrey said. If probably before you could only afford one item, probably now you can do 1.5 or 2, or you probably spend that other dollar into something else or save that. Right?
Yeah, and you can buy me a drink now, from that saving.
All right, what kind of drink you want? Non-alcoholic, or you want an orange juice or what?
Grapefruit juice.
Grapefruit juice. Okay, no problem.
But just to add, Miguel, to what Mr. Maglo was saying, it is advisable that the merchants themselves seek clarification of the actual products that's supposed to be included in the non-VAT items. And the published list was purposefully included the tariff numbers, because that will give you the exact description of the products that's supposed to be qualifying. So if people would like to get a copy of that tariff, they could visit the customs website. That's customs.gov.dm, and go to the legislation page or tab, and there they will see the HS codes. It's the HS 2017 codes, and this is essentially what we call a tariff book. It's a soft copy of the tariff book, and they could identify by looking at the different numbers, and that is where you get the full description of the type of items that would qualify for that exemption. And as Mr. Peanut said earlier, you realize that he mentioned sanitary towels and tampons and so on twice, and that is only because they fall within two different tariff headings, simply because of the product in which these items are made from. So they didn't want to only include one tariff heading and have it exclude the other the other items that would have, or the other towels and tampons that would have been produced by using a different material. So it was deliberately included twice so that it would encompass both different types of material that it would be produced with. So that is our encouragement to them, and not just for the merchants, but for the public as well, for their own education purposes. They could look at the tariff numbers and reference the explanation within the tariff book to what is being published, so that they can have a fair understanding of what items are supposed to be exempted.
Okay. This discussion has been very educational, informative indeed. Any other matters you guys probably wanted to touch on with regards to this exemption period, gentlemen? Any other important areas you feel you just want to touch on, or in your recap of the whole process? Yeah.
Okay. Well, outside of I want to say outside of the exemption period, but we just want to reiterate to the public that that relief or exemption period it started on October 1st and ends on March 31st, 2026. So we're saying that so that they should be able to plan out themselves properly to understand how best they can benefit from this adjustment that they have been provided with. And I also wanted to just add, just for information purposes, that there are also other items for which no VAT has been applied on. It's applied at 0%, and that has been a standard ever since, So stuff like milk, flour, rice, sugar, infant formula, locally produced agricultural products, and locally produced bread. All of these, there's no VAT on these. So this is also, a benefit. But these items are not just for the 6 months. That has been happening, and these will continue thereafter.
Okay.
All right.
What words would you want to share as we close with? One, the sellers, the merchants. Two, the customers, the consumers of these items on the shelves. What words of advice, caution, education?
What I would like to say to the merchants is that the public has been crying for reduction in price of goods because they feel it in their pocket. And the government has basically healed to the cries of the public. So we want the merchants, we are expecting the merchants, both the registered and unregistered merchants, to pass on the relief that has been presented by the government for the next 6 months. And I stress in on the non-merchant, the non-registered businesses especially. They may feel that they're not part of the equation. And indeed you are part of the equation, because at the end of the day, you will be buying these products with no VAT on them, and the consumer basically should feel that effect from you. It may not happen for you immediately from the 1st of October because you'd have had the old stock. So naturally, your costing would form part of that VAT 15%. But after the old stock is diminished and you're bringing in new stock, you should pass on that effect to the consumer.
Very well, gentlemen. Otherwise, what things at the revenue? Things at the revenue?
Things are good at the revenue.
Yeah.
So day-to-day operations are moving smoothly. Also, while we are here, I would like to take the opportunity to remind the general public, this we are in the final quarter of the year. People with liquor licenses, they are due on or before the 31st of December of this year. Also, our filing period will be coming up from January to March, so we need to be mindful of that as well. Your store and parlor license will be due on or before January 31st of next year, along as well as with professional licenses. Okay?
Very
also, companies that are submitting their TD5s, please try to also take note of all your new employees and submit the necessary information to the department as well when you're submitting that TD5 for the upcoming filing period.
All right, very good. And I'll just end with Mr. Joseph. You know, as an entertainer, I know the Cluebird have been involved with carnival activities, and these days people are launching very early, well in advance. You know, what are the plans for 2026? Mr. McGlaw, Mr. Geoffrey, anyone of you? You know, all things looking up for 2026, man. On a different note. It's too early or what?
No, it's not.
No.
We actually have our website, launch at cluebird.com, where you can also sign up to purchase packages that are available as well. We have special packages that you can only purchase online. So you should go out and look and check this out. We also have our annual Cluebird in the Yard Lime this year.
All right.
This October as well,
31st.
on the 31st of October, so you can also look out for that.
It's like Halloween time, man.
Yes.
Halloween.
No costumes though.
Yeah, man. Any local dishes in the yard now for the season, or you doing for the
Soon,
Independence?
soon,
Yeah, something
soon.
coming up.
Something coming soon.
All right.
We have to talk to our chef.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening.
Yeah, man. Gentlemen, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so very much for the education and information. Continue the good works that you've been doing. Thanks again, Mr. McGlaw, Mr. Joseph, and Mr. Pinard. Gentlemen, have a good one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for the
much,
invite.
and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Bye.